Hey guys, Metal Driver here, bringing you a DC McFarlane Toys review. Yeah, a little bit different from wrestling. I actually haven't done a DC review in over a year now, so it's been a while. I did recently watch The Batman movie that just came out. I really liked the movie, and that made me want to pick up the Batman figure and review it. Now, this isn't just going to be a simple Batman review, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already seen this figure being reviewed, so I'm just going to quickly take a look at it, give you my thoughts on the figure, but the main focus is going to be this custom wired cape. So this is a pretty cool cape. So we're going to look at the cape, and then I'm going to show you how to modify the figure and stick this cape on. Now, this isn't a cape that I made. This is a cape that was made by a seller on eBay. His eBay store is Dylan-55. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. He also has an Instagram page called DJF04, and that's also the same handle that they have on Mercari. So I want to make it very clear, they did not contact me. They did not ask me to do this video. They did not send me anything for free. I bought this with my own money, and then I'm going to give you my honest opinion on how that cape looks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open up this mutilated box. Yeah, I got this from Amazon warehouse, so it's all taped up. We'll take a quick look at the Batman, then we'll take a look at the cape, and then I'll show you how I'm going to apply that on this figure, so that way you can do that yourself if you want to get a custom cape. So the Batman comes with a few accessories, including a card with a data file on the back, a figure stand, and a grappling gun. Some pretty nice detail on the grappling gun. Not a whole lot of paint. It does seem like it's just solid black plastic. Now there is a peg right here. So this is not going to go in his gripping hand. In fact, it's going to go in this open hand right here that has a peg hole. So you're just going to peg it right in like that. Now you may be wondering why it's designed that way. Well, if you watch the movie, you'll see how the Batman uses the grappling gun in that movie. And once you see that scene, or those scenes, it's gonna make sense why the figure is gimmicked like this. So I like how that was done. Looking at the head sculpt, I think this is sculpted very well. It looks just like how Batman looks like in the film. I like the detailing on the mask. It looks really good. The ears look good. The lips are painted really well. The mouth part does look like Robert Pattinson in the movie. So I think the sculpting of this head was done really well. The only thing I do not like are the eyes and how they're painted. They are painted well, but they're painted looking towards the side, which seems to be a common theme with the McFarlane Toys DC figures, that a lot of them have this side-eyed look, which is annoying. I wish they did not go with that. I would prefer this figure looking straight ahead, but aside from that, it is a very well sculpted headpiece, so I like this a lot. Then looking at the body of the figure, this is sculpted really well. Not a whole lot of paint throughout the figure, but you don't really need that many colors with Batman. It's usually just black and gray. So we do have this dark gray all over the suit with some black parts here and there, so that looks really nice. The chest piece looks really good. I love how this Bat logo is sculpted. The paint looks like it's just a solid black. Would have been nice if they had a little bit of gunmetal or some silver wash on the black parts here. But aside from that, it looks really good. Some nice detailing on the belt, all these pouches. So really nice. So this is really cool, especially for a $20 to $25 figure. You get a lot of good sculpting throughout the body, all over the arms and the legs. So this is something that McFarlane Toys has been doing a great job with the DC line. Some nice sculpt work, good details on the figures. The silver here on the gauntlet looks really good. And then look at these spikes or fins here on the gauntlet. This is the second thing that I don't like about the figure, is that these are very flimsy. They're very rubbery. So I don't know if that was done so that these wouldn't break if they were too hard, but to me, I feel like I'm going to rip these if I play with them too much, so hopefully that is not the case, and that's just me worrying about something that isn't an issue. Aside from that, this figure looks really good. And then the sculpt work on the cape looks really good, but that I don't care because I'm going to remove this. This is going to come off, and we're going to have that better cape. So before we get into that, just going to quickly go into the articulation. So his head can't look that high up, that far down, can turn side to side, and tilt pretty well, so good pivot there. Shoulder does go that high up. It is limited due to this shoulder pad. Can rotate all the way around. There is a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, so great points of articulation throughout the upper body. And then there is a butterfly joint that's hidden in there. Rotation and hinge at the wrist. We got ball joints in the torso, so the range of motion can be a little bit limited. I think that's more due to the figure being a bit stiff. Can turn, pivot, legs go that far out, that high up, can rotate at the thigh. There is no traditional thigh cut, but there is rotation there. double jointed knees. There is toe articulation. Ankle goes that high up, that far down, and not exactly an ankle pivot, but there is rotation there. Alright then, taking a look at this cape, this looks really good. So it does have a very big wingspan right here, so that's really nice, it's really cool. So there are wires throughout the cape, so to give it some nice, good posability. And then I do like this faux leather material that was used. This is really nice, and the stitching looks really good throughout the cape where the wires are. Now, I am a little bit concerned. It does look like here where the wires begin at the top of the cape, they are starting to slightly stick out through the fabric. So hopefully it doesn't quite poke through, but that is a concern that I have. I don't want that to eventually rip over time. So that is something to be aware of, but hopefully that is not an issue. Alright, so if you've never done any kind of modification or given your figure a custom cape, and you're wondering, how the heck am I supposed to do that? Well, there are a couple tools that I like to use. I like to use a hair dryer to heat up the plastic of the cape so that way it's easy to take off. Because there are going to be certain parts of the cape that's glued down. So as you can see right here, there is a peg, so that is glued into the back, so you're going to need to heat this up so you can cut that. So I use a hair dryer for that. You could use a heat gun as well. And then in order to cut that, you're going to need an X-Acto knife. Now, if you do not have these tools, like a hair dryer, X-Acto knife, or even a heat gun, you could potentially do this with hot water. What I would recommend doing is pouring some hot water in a bowl, so not quite boiling, but just make sure that it is nice and hot, and then dipping the figure in, just having the upper torso, at least enough where this peg right here is under the hot water. So leave it there for a couple minutes, that should be enough to cut. And then if you don't have an X-Acto knife, you could use a pair of scissors. Alright, so while I'm customizing this and modding this, I'm not going to be using the hairdryer here on my table because I don't want to ruin the cape or any of this stuff right here. So I'm going to do that off camera. Then I will show off a couple things on camera. So I will show you when I do cut the peg on the cape. Alright, so once that is heated, you can use the X-Acto knife to cut through. So you're going to want to be very careful that you don't injure yourself or ruin the figure. So as you can see with my incision right here, that is cutting through the plastic, and you can even start peeling this off and pulling, so that way you don't run the risk of damaging the figure or slipping. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right here. Try to get as close to the bottom as I can without damaging the back of the figure. Alright, so I was able to cut that off. So it took a little bit because I had to reheat this spot a few times. Because while I was cutting, the plastic did cool down, which made the plastic harder. So essentially you want the plastic to be soft because the softer it is, the easier it is to cut through. But I got that done. So next would be this front part of the cape. So this should be easier to take off. Now it does look like this collar piece might be attached to this cape right here. You're going to want to keep the collar piece. If that does come off, then you're going to want to glue that back on because the cape does not have a fabric collar. So again, in order to keep some accuracy, you're going to want this collar to stay on. So as you can see, even after cooldown, this cape is starting to peel a little bit. So I'm going to heat that up. Oh, never mind. I guess that just came off right away. Okay, and yeah, it does look like the collar is attached to that, so I'm going to separate that with the X-Acto knife and keep this collar piece. Might end up gluing it from the back. Oh, actually, I might not need to cut this. It looks like it's starting to peel off right here, so I think if I just pry this a little bit, so you can kind of see where it's starting to separate. So I think if I pry this a little bit, yep. Okay, so that came off, and oh wow, okay. So there is the collar piece on the figure, so that's not going to be an issue. It looks like it is attached to the Batman and his neck. And, oh, there we go. Got this one off. So there's a little bit of that glue residue right here, so hopefully that'll be covered by the cape. And then here, it looks like you probably just peel this off. Yep, there you go. Now it is completely off. So we're going to wrap that cape around, see how that looks. And yeah, looks pretty good. Alright, so that's how the cape's going to look on the figure. So you're going to want to bend the wire a little bit so it's fitting around the shoulders and the neck. You are going to want to apply some glue right here and here along the bottom part near the collarbone and right here close to the front of the chest right at the top. You don't want to get it anywhere near the suit, so don't use too much super glue. So this is the glue that I'm going to use. I'm going to try to dab just a light amount and apply that. I'm not going to put any on the back, right here along the collar, right underneath where the plastic cape was. So again, I'm going to use a light amount. I'm not going to do that on camera. That way I can be as accurate as possible. I'm not looking through a camera lens. So I'm going to do that off camera and show you how that looks. Alright, and here is the Batman with the cape glued on, and that looks really impressive. It has a very big wingspan, and I love how this turned out. Now, I did mention some of the wires kind of poking through, and yeah, it does seem like that was kind of happening while I was gluing the figure. Luckily, nothing ripped through, but again, just be aware if you decide to purchase this cape. But aside from that, it does look fantastic. Now, it is not accurate to how the cape looks like in the movie, because in the film, that cape didn't really have any of the bat scallops or fins or whatever those are called. It seemed like a just flat, standard black cape. However, I'm okay with that because I do prefer this look of the Batman cape with those scallops. So I love how this turned out. This looks really, really impressive. So I think the McFarlane Toys The Batman figure is pretty good on its own, especially for that price point of $20 to $25. Great sculpt work, great detail, awesome articulation, a fantastic head sculpt minus the weird side-eyed look. But with this cape, this really turns this good figure into a great figure. And even if you already thought it was great, it definitely makes it much better. So I think getting a custom cape is something that is beneficial as far as having that complete Batman look. I know there's going to be a Mezco one coming out, but with Mezco, those things sometimes take forever to release. So if you want a Batman with a wired cape now's your chance to get it. Again, I got this from the eBay seller Dylan-55. Otherwise, you can also contact him on Instagram at DJF04 and Macari at the same handle. So if you're interested in this cape, go ahead, contact them. Let them know that Metal Driver Reviews sent you. Again, I was not contacted to promote this. I'm doing this on my own. Bought this with my own money, and I think it's a pretty cool looking cape. So if you're new to the channel, I do wrestling reviews. I used to do some DC reviews. So if you like this video, go ahead, hit that like button. If I see enough engagement and likes in this video, maybe I'll be more compelled to do some more DC reviews in the near future. Follow me on social media so you can be up to date with all my action figure photography, and I'll see you next time.